is there a favorite genre of music or band or type of music or something you listen to in the operating room or at home, or do you have a preference?
Yeah. So the only answer to that for me is anything that my wife is in.
So welcome to Perfusion Rockstars episode 4. We're here with Tony Calhoun, the Perfusion Rockstar. Today is July 22nd, 2020. We're going to kick off, and please like, comment, and subscribe. We really do value our audience and appreciate you watching these videos and interacting and giving us feedback as well. So thank you very much. Anyway, Tony, thank you for being here. I know you've been very busy clinically and with family as well, so really appreciate your time. First of all,
thank you for having me.
Sure. We're going to start out by looking over your resume, kind of your background professionally, and then we're going to go into a few questions to touch on, perfusion and maybe some personal questions, and then we'll end with something fun, do a little lightning round, and ask you some different unusual questions that'll hopefully be entertaining for us all. So Tony Calhoun, he had May 2010 molecular and cellular biology degree, a bachelor's, and then after that you became a paramedic certificate. You got a paramedic certificate, looks like, in 2011, and then he ended up getting his master's in cardiovascular perfusion in May of 2016. From Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut. And then after that, Tony took a job at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center from 2016 to 2019. Something that stands out there is you were involved with electronic charting and helping them get that up and running. I know that's a critical part of a lot of perfusionist team these days. A good skill to have, and a busy program doing over 900 hearts a year. From there, you got busier, it looks like. Went to Mass General, over 1,500 hearts a year there from 2019 to the present. Interesting thing about Tony's background is that he's done research at both of those facilities. He's been a research perfusionist currently and also a research associate, and has some publications in progress, it sounds like, based on your CV that you sent. The other thing I found interesting, Tony, is that you went to Haiti about 5 times, maybe, on some different medical mission trips.
Yeah.
So
a few times.
Yeah. So anyway, that's great. It's always nice to give back, and we appreciate you doing that. So, so from there, we're going to start with some questions.
All right. So this is something we always like to ask people, because since perfusion is such a small profession, how did you get into the idea of perfusion? How did you learn about perfusion?
Yeah, that's a great question. So honestly, I was looking to further my medical career. And I was looking into different avenues. I hadn't really heard of perfusion before, but I was looking into medical schools and PA schools and kind of like mid-level providers stuff maybe. And I was looking at Quinnipiac and just going through their website, and I saw, Perfusionist, what's that? So I looked it up and did some research on it, and realized that it was actually a really great fit for me. Working in the OR, working with cardiac surgery in particular, that's always been an interest of mine. So yeah, I went with it.
That's great. Were there any individuals that were influential in your decision of becoming a perfusionist, or during any time during your perfusion career that you've looked up to as mentors?
Yeah, certainly. Well, so I work with Kevin Grace. He's a great guy. He used to be the chief at Mass General 27 years ago now, I think. And I know that 27 years because he just came up on his anniversary for his own heart transplant. So in his late 20s, he was the chief over at MGH, and he developed cardiomyopathy and actually ended up needing a transplant. And just being able to work with him and working with someone who has a tremendous amount of experience and has been on both sides of the field has been really rewarding for me.
That's rare.
That's great. Leading into that, so you talk about your job as a perfusionist. What do you think is unique about being a perfusionist?
So what's particularly unique about my position in general is the fact that I get to work in the clinical realm, and I also get to work in research, which has been really fun for me. And that's unique to my position right now.
Yeah, that's great. So what are your perfusion superpowers? Perfusion superpowers, Tony?
Please remain seated. PerfusionRockstars is experiencing technical difficulties.
So Tony, what are your perfusion superpowers?
Yeah, so I don't know if I really consider it a superpower, but I can definitely able to stay calm in very intense moments. And I think that that's really valuable as a perfusionist. If you can, zone everything else out and focus in on the task at hand, which is providing excellent care to the patient, that's really important. Inevitably in our careers, we're going to get into points where, the world is exploding around us, and you have to really be able to compartmentalize and focus in on your job. And I think that's something that I found I've always been able to really do well with, is just focusing in and staying calm. And then, maybe the other thing is I can hear the HMS machine when it clicks off from anywhere in the room.
That's great.
I could be doing anything, talking to somebody, and it clicks off. It says it's done, immediately.
Yep.
That's just kind of hardwired.
Yeah, because I know things can snowball out of control if you can't stay focused on one problem. It turns into two or three. So that's definitely a good power to have. So,
something else you mentioned. Obviously, you do a lot of research. What are some of your research interests?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the stuff that I'm primarily working on right now, I work in transplant sciences. So currently in the U.S., there's a tremendous shortage of organs for the donor pool, and we work on being able to provide life-saving organs to anyone that needs them. Primarily, what I'm working with right now is Xenotransplant. So if you remember back to some of your immunology, Xenotransplant is transplanting between species. So our current research suggests that the future of transplant is potentially going to be coming from an animal model. So we can grow organs in animals that have been genetically modified to look more like human to the immune system. And that's really what I work on. Where I come into that as a perfusionist is that in testing these models, you can't just jump to implant, directly into humans. That's just not how research works, and that would be highly unethical. So what we do is we do ex vivo perfusion studies to look at how these organs actually perform over time under various conditions, and that's what I was brought on to do in my team, was to bring that expertise into designing some of these ex vivo systems so we can actually look at these organs over time and see how they do.
Wow, that's great. I know.
Yeah, that's
definitely impact humanity in the long run. That's good stuff. Good work you're doing there. Thank you.
We certainly hope to.
Yeah. Could you describe a problem you've had to solve as your role as a perfusionist and how you solved it?
Yeah. So going back to the research aspects, I think it's really interesting. One of my first tasks when I joined the team was that we were explanting hearts at one location, and then we would have to transport them back to our lab to continue the experimentation. And one of the issues with that in transplant is that you deal with what's known as ischemic reperfusion injury. So I was given the task of designing a portable ex vivo ischemia minimization device, which is basically just kind of just like a fancy name for a pump, an oxygenator, and a battery. So what I did was I looked through the lab to see kind of what I had, and I was able to come up with a couple reservoirs, some oxygenators, there was a broken pump, and I had a small cooler. So first thing I did was I took the pump apart, figured out how it worked, fixed it, and put it back together. Then I took one of the reservoirs, actually opened it up all the way on top to kind of see what the guts were and see if I could work with it. And I found that it actually had a little 3/8 connector on the inside. So what I ended up doing was I connected a 3/8 line to that 3/8 connector, and then repurposed an aortic cannula to actually fit into another 3/8 connector. So I could actually fit it in. It's about that big right at the top of it. So with that, I was able to then take a digital blood pressure cuff, and I modified that so that I would have a continuous digital pressure monitor. It actually reads error the whole time, but it gives you a readout of the actual pressure. It's kind of cool. And then I found a computer battery and bought an aquarium pump for my heat exchanger. And that's how you build an ex vivo perfusion system for about $10. And it works.
Awesome.
It works beautifully, and I've upgraded it over time, bought a new battery and upgraded some of the equipment, but it's been a really cool, fun experience.
That's awesome. Sounds a little bit like a MacGyver project and skills. So.
Yeah, so that's kind of the way that I look at it. I have, this box of connectors and tubing and a whole bunch of stuff, and you just kind of put it together to solve a problem.
Right. That's great. Good job.
You sound like an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like. So yeah, I mean, obviously you seem to love the profession that you're in and all aspects of it. And, what would you say is the best part of being a perfusionist?
Yeah, so I would say being the best part of being a perfusionist is really being able to have a really impactful moment on someone's life. So they may never know that we even exist, but I'm sorry, I'm breaking up here.
PerfusionRockstars is experiencing technical difficulties. Again. I mean, come on, you guys, get your insert that word together.
So you obviously enjoy a lot of different aspects being a perfusionist, both inside and outside the OR. So what would you say is the best part of being a perfusionist?
Yeah, well,
I'd
really say that the best part of being a perfusionist is being part of a care team where we're able to really have a big impact in people's lives. I mean, that means a lot to me personally. My father-in-law was very sick before my wife and I got married. He was suffering from interstitial lung disease, and he was actually transplanted 4 days before our wedding. And it's really just amazing the expert care that he got, and the fact that he's been with us now for 3 years since then. He's gotten to meet his granddaughter, and it means so much to me and my family, and being able to be a part of a care team that provides that for people is incredible. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Well,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Personal hobbies that you may have. Personal hobbies.
Oh yeah. Well, so I really love cooking for one. I have. Yep, I really love cooking. For one, I have a smoker, and I've been experimenting with a lot of different foods and different flavors lately. I've been doing a lot of Korean and Indian food, my wife really loves South Indian food, so we've been trying to make dosa and sambar and uttapam, and it's kind of like a savory pancake. But yeah, I really love cooking, and I have a small wood shop in my basement, so I like woodworking.
Oh, that's great.
Breaking news. PerfusionRockstars is experiencing technical difficulties. Who would have thought? Insert sarcasm. I hope someone is getting fired over this.
So, hey, so someone sees your life. They say, you know what? I want to write a book about you. What would the title of your biography be?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Say all the things I wish I knew, you know, because it's going through life. That's what it is. You know, you're constantly learning things and saying, oh man, if I knew that 6 months ago. So I think that's, yeah.
I like that. You have to admit that you don't know everything, right? And the more you learn, the more you realize what you don't know, it seems like, in life.
Yeah. And what we know is far greater than what we do. Yeah.
Great. All right, and since we are on Perfusion Rockstar with Tony today, we have to ask you, is there a favorite genre of music or band or type of music or something you listen to in the operating room or at home, or do you have a preference?
Yeah, so the only answer to that for me is anything that my wife is in. So, you know, in addition to being a great mom and an attorney, she's also a pretty awesome drummer. She's been drumming in rock bands since we met. So yeah, any band that my wife is in is my favorite.
Cool. What type of music does she play?
Well, kind of hard rock and kind of experimental stuff. So in her latest band, they were working on this concept album that was kind of like post-apocalyptic prog rock, which is like a crazy definition, but they were working on this album where it was following the journey of someone in from post-apocalyptic Boston, which is where we are now, going throughout the US. And it was kind of experimental and weird, but it was cool.
That's great.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, great, good answer.
Yeah, you obviously to her though, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the definition. Okay, so now our little surprise, you know, we don't share this with people, but you know, now we're gonna do a little lightning round. These are kind of just some light questions. I'm gonna throw them at you, and I just want a quick answer, and then we can run back through them, and, you know, explain your reasoning. Okay, so we're gonna start the clock. And is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes.
Pirates or ninjas?
Ninjas.
Favorite TV show?
Simpsons.
Do you believe in aliens?
Of course.
Is cheesecake a pie or a cake?
The pie.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Okay. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Oh, that's a tough one. Animals, I'd be the only one.
Yep. What does a person need to be happy?
That's a hard one.
I know.
To be happy, I'd say just satisfaction with just being okay with life as it is.
And then how many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
At least 2.
All right. Stop it, Sam. Okay. Those are good answers. I know a couple of them you really have to think about because they're not as simple as pirates or ninjas.
Yeah, happiness to life. That's not
Yeah.
that's a tough one.
I like throwing it out there because you get some different answers, but a lot of them I feel like are typically the same about, you know, kind of self-awareness, things like that. So a hot dog is a sandwich.
Yes.
Wow.
So let me ask you a question. A meatball sub, is that a sandwich?
Yes.
Okay. What if that were sausage and peppers? Sausage and pepper sub, is that a sandwich?
I guess, yeah, it's still the same. Okay.
Yeah, it's still the same. So you got the hoagie, you keep on going. Now, what if you took away the peppers from the sausage and peppers? Now it's just a sausage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Now what is a hot dog? A hot dog is a frankfurter, which is a sausage. So if you take that hoagie bun and you shake it down to a roll, you still have a sandwich. Same thing.
It sounds like you've done some research on this topic.
I've thought about it before.
So this one you thought about a little bit, but you're taking ninjas over pirates.
Yeah, so I'd go with ninjas because I feel like ninjas have trained their whole life to do what they do. Pirates, you become a pirate for many various reasons, but ninjas, that's intentional, and it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of training. So yeah, I'd go with ninjas.
I like that. And then, so your favorite TV show is actually one of my dad's favorite shows growing up.
Yeah, you know, the cool thing with The Simpsons now too is it's on Disney Plus, so they have every episode ever. So my nieces and nephews have gone through and watched every episode of The Simpsons from start to finish. I never made it past like season 10 because I think they kind of like fell off around there. But yeah, they've made it up to, I don't know what they're at now, season 30 or something like that. Yeah.
So it was on the Tracy Ullman show. I think that was the introduction.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I used to, when they first became a show after watching them on the Tracy Ullman show, I used to take a VHS video recorder and I used to record it. And then when the commercial came on, I'd stop. And then I'd start recording it again when the show would start. So early tape of The Simpsons. So yes.
Yeah. I remember the days of VHS.
I vaguely do. I was pretty young.
Yeah.
But so you believe in aliens?
Yeah, you know, I think that you kind of have to if you look at the numbers. I mean, it's just overwhelming. For there not to be other life in the universe is, yeah, I just think it's statistically very improbable.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty honest, but kind of closed-minded to think that there couldn't be something else out there, that we're the only people here. But yeah, so is cheesecake is a pie? I like the answer.
Yeah. I think it's a pie. So what's the difference between a pie and a cake, right? So it's a pie has a crust.
Yeah.
Cake doesn't have a crust. And cheesecake commonly has graham cracker crust. So I think it's in the crust.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I've heard different answers, but I like the crust thing. It's a crust and a filling, and it does seem like a pie. They trick you with the name.
Yeah.
Sure. So then you also said beach over the mountains.
Yeah, you know, that's a tough one because I really love the mountains too. I love hiking, especially Pacific Northwest. There's just beautiful, beautiful mountains up there. If you get up into like British Columbia, Garibaldi up there, just absolutely gorgeous. But I also really enjoy the beach. I've spent a lot of my time, or a lot of my life, summers up in Maine and that sort of thing. And I think that's really great too. Where I would want to stay, I think I'd want to stay by the beach, but they're both great.
Yeah, I like that. So yeah, you kind of gave your reasoning, but you'd rather be able to speak to animals than any language.
Yeah, well, I just think that would be incredibly unique, and nobody else in the world can speak to animals. So you could be the ambassador.
There'd definitely be a market for your abilities.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then, okay, so loaded question: what does a person need to be happy?
Yeah, so that's a tough one. I think that it's really just being able to be okay with what life throws at you. You're always going to have difficult times in your life, and if you aren't able to cope with that, then you'll never be happy.
Good answer. It's almost like wanting what you have versus wanting what you don't have.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And then last one, 2 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah, usually. So I'll have a cup on my drive to work, and then sometime in the morning I'll have another one. Sometimes in the afternoon around 4 o'clock we'll take a coffee break too. So sometimes 3. But you know.
Yeah, that's similar to my schedule, my coffee schedule. Always have 2, maybe 3. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, great. That's all we had for written out, prepared questions. Is there anything you would like to say? Are there any questions that you'd like us to touch up on before we say goodbye?
I think that we hit a lot of the major stuff that I was hoping to talk about today, and I just really want to thank you guys for taking your time to do the interview, and I'm really pleased to be a part of Perfusion Life and Perfusion Rockstars.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Tony. Really appreciate
your
it.
time,
Great, thank you.
especially with all the technical difficulties.
Yeah,
Adapting with us and going through it all.
I think you're going to be the only Perfusion rock star with 3 different backgrounds.
yeah,
Thank you for sticking with it and seeing it through. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, that's Tony Calhoun. Thank you very much for joining us with Perfusion Rockstars. And please subscribe, comment, like. I really appreciate everyone's viewing these videos and respecting Tony's time to join us. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right, have a good day, Tony.
You too.